Hello. Okay, I decided to do this discussion. Alright. A friend of mine wants me to go see the Lion King movie. I posted no. The reason I am not a big fan of Disney movies, and it's been this way since, I don't know, since I was probably just 12 years old. Walt Disney came up with a good idea. I absolutely love The Black Cauldron. I like the books. Not much fan of the animated movie. I'm sorry, Don Bluth. I know you worked really hard on it. But why I don't like Disney? Oh, hey Hazel, I'll feed you. There we go. The reason is simple. It's just after years of actually watching different types of animation, Disney doesn't seem to grasp the whole story change. Okay? Not all stories end happily ever after. Alright? Let me take case in point. Hans Christian Andersen's Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid is about a little girl named Oriana, who is a mermaid. I'm using the Japanese name, not the American one, I'm sorry. Oriana grew up with her sisters, mother, and father under the ocean. And she is pretty much the youngest of her siblings, and her sisters lavish so much affection and love on her that on her 16th birthday, they decide it is time for her to go to see the surface world. She goes up to the surface, and she's enamored by the people on the land, but she doesn't want to leave her ocean. Well, one day, the ocean goes to war. As in, the sea witch has decided that she's going to cause a storm. Because her eels didn't do as she said. Granted, it's not the eels from the Disney version. No. So, a ship is caught out in the sea, and Oriana ends up rescuing a prince. She doesn't know it's a prince. In fact, she just randomly rescues him because, well, she's on her way home, and, well, it's not kind of fair to have a guy fall off a boat, and she rescues him and sends him home. News goes out to her father and mother, who are overjoyed because they don't really think it's bad to rescue humans from the sea. Let me get that off there. But they celebrate and give her a beautiful pearl to put in her hair. When she finds out that who this man is, she actually is in love with him. She doesn't tell her parents, she doesn't tell her sisters either. She just tells maybe a dolphin, who's a friend, and that's about it. But does Oriana want to leave the ocean? Actually, no, she doesn't. Her family doesn't know she decides to go see the sea witch and ask her a question. The truth is, the whole story is completely different from how Disney describes it. So, when I was a kid, I got to see the Hans Christian Andersen version and the Little Mermaid and made a comparison. Even though my sister cried through most of it, I did not. I actually was very intrigued. And my dad asked me a very interesting question about it. And I answered that I liked the version that I was shown on VHS, not the version Disney did. The reason why is very simple. It's how the story is rendered. Not all stories end happily ever after. They've never ended happily ever after for some. Little Red Riding Hood dies at the end of the story. She doesn't get rescued, if you read the original version of it. Not the dumbed-down, watered-down version that you're force-fed to understand. And there's other characters also. I mean, you're looking at the fact that our culture likes to change the stories to fit the demographics of the situation at hand. I don't hate Disney for that. I hate the fact that they do it and not give these kids a chance to mull over, was I supposed to learn something from this? The other thing that irritated me was Frozen. Okay, Frozen is a retelling, in a way, of The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen. The Snow Queen story is one that I love reading around Christmas, and it's a very interesting, complex story about a girl named Anna and a boy named Hans. Their names are changed throughout the entirety. Hans gets a shard of ice in his eye, and it slowly works its way into his heart. The Snow Queen was the one who shattered the thing under no malicious circumstance of her own. She had no intention of actually hurting anybody. The Snow Queen is just the Snow Queen. And she figures if Hans can solve her riddles, maybe it will melt his heart. So she takes Hans back to her castle in the North Pole and hopes that maybe somewhere in that boy's heart he will have the will to fight it, to fight the coldness. If not, she doesn't know what would happen. Well, Anna goes to rescue him. Again, the names are changed. I don't really remember the story, but I remember a part of the story where Anna is standing in the ice palace, and the Snow Queen, who is finally at her wit's end, says that she will grant her wish to have Hans back if she can remind him of who she is. Because also, what happened with the ice crystal in his eye, it also destroys his memories of people he has once cared about. So Anna goes to rescue him. And she finds him in a state where he is trying to put together a giant puzzle. And he's got to the one last piece, but he doesn't know what the piece is. So the Ice Queen puts Anna in the room with him and says, if you can get him to solve this puzzle, whatever ice that's in his heart will melt. And in the story, this girl tries everything to jog his memory, because she knows that the memories will be the final piece, because the witch told him so, because the Snow Queen told her so. The truth is, the Snow Queen isn't evil. She's not exactly mean or malicious or cold like any of the other animated features you'll ever see her in. She's never a bad person. Unlike Elsa, who's overpowered at times, the Snow Queen says her power will wane when spring has come. And she usually, like she said, will retreat to the north. And she doesn't always appear evil or mean or malicious. Again, that's one of those things that most people miss in most Disney films, is that not all villains are mean, spiteful people. Not all witches are evil. Another case in point, Cinderella. If you ever see the movie Ever After, which I love, the two evil stepsisters is actually just one. The stepsister and the oldest stepsister and the stepmother. The youngest stepsister views her stepsister as somebody to talk to and relate to. She may act physically mean at times, only to put on a show for her mother and sister, but in the background, the girl literally wishes that Cinderella would get her way and get out of the house. That way she can prove that if her stepsister can get out, so can she. At the end of the movie, when the king asks, "Are they always like this?" And the youngest stepsister just looks at Cinderella, smiles, and says, "Oh, they always act like this." And so, with every crime that those two had committed, they had to endure every single chore and every single hardship Cinderella ever got into. That was the one thing that Cinderella, at the end of the Disney version, doesn't allude to very often. You see it in the new movies, like Cinderella 2 and 3, but you never really see it in Disney at all. In Ever After, Cinderella grants her youngest stepsister's wish, and that is to marry the one person that actually gave a damn about this girl. And that was because her younger stepsister actually treated her like a human. Yeah, helped her with her chores, helped her with everything. You don't see that in a lot of things because it's just part of the storytelling process. That's the one reason I didn't like a lot of the Disney movies, is because some of it just doesn't allude to much. And the one princess I did like, which was Elanwi, never gets counted as a princess whatsoever. So it gets kind of pointless to watch Disney at times. Because, okay, the princess doesn't necessarily have to be a damsel in distress. Honestly. I actually liked Princess Leia. Because, yeah, she was in trouble. But it didn't stop her from taking the blaster and shooting the hell out of the place. It didn't stop her from being the gutsy leader that she is. And people think, the one thing I learned as a kid growing up, Carrie Fisher acted exactly like what Princess Leia would act like. Yeah, Carrie Fisher wasn't perfect. Hell, she wasn't exactly perfect in the first place when I saw Princess Leia in the books. I mean, Princess Leia probably admitted to more mistakes than she admitted to doing anything right. Harken to Courtship of Princess Leia, when the Hapes Prince actually asks her hand. And you see Leia look at her brother like, say something. And you see Luke sort of look more aloof and confused because he's not used to playing the role of, I'm the older brother, I'm supposed to say, hey, that's my sister, don't touch her. Because Luke's not used to it because he's used to being an only child his whole life. So, again, I would like to see Disney actually take a step in that direction where, as an adult, Luke does take a bit of a older brother, I am not letting my sister marry Han Solo until I know for sure Han deserves it type of mentality. Yeah, that's kind of heavy-handed of me, but, you know, Disney doesn't seem to like to put that out there. And that's what's really irking to me is, yeah, princesses should have the right to say no. And it came pretty close with Atlantis. And then what the hell happened? It came this close to Treasure Planet. What the hell happened? Honestly, when you have a strong female character, guys get really nervous about that. And it kind of irks me a bit. Not all female characters are the damsel in distress. I mean, come on. Has anyone ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean? Oh my god, the stereotypes get broken so many damn times. You get, yeah, Disney does know how to do it in their live action movies. Wish they would do it in their animated ones. I would love to see a strong female character in an animated feature other than Elsa and Anna who can say, hey, no. No, I'm not falling for that stereotype. So that's my spiel. You can, and if you don't agree, that's fine. Just message below. Just tell me what you think, because honestly, I will be getting back on SAO probably sometime today. Talk to you later.